On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there is having themselves a great day. Big news is actually starting to break. It looks like we're very close to some declassification happening that is going to blow open a lot of this Russiagate stuff. Now, some would say that the Epstein case is more important. I actually think all these things are playing out exactly how they're supposed to. We'll see how things play out in the big picture. We've got obviously got some Epstein news and a whole slew of stuff. Let's get the ball rolling. Just some really just kind of bad news on top of bad news. But the Camp Mystic co-owner apparently had received the urgent flash flood warning threat and waited 45 minutes before they began to evacuate. Maybe they were hoping that it wasn't going to happen as badly. I mean, I've certainly gotten threats that there was flooding nearby, but certainly wouldn't affect where I live. But living right on the river the way they did, or having this camp right on the river the way it was, and also back in, I want to say, 87, back in the 80s, there was very severe flooding in this very same place. So this is extraordinarily sad that it sounds like lives definitely didn't need to be lost. Texas death toll is at 132 now. Here's a little bit of an update.
Today. Hi, Brooke.
Hi, Dana. The death toll now at 132. 160 people are missing still. This weather has made search efforts even more difficult. Yesterday, that weather got so bad that it suspended search efforts. Rescue crews were told to get out of the river around 8 a.m. That's when we got that emergency alert about life-threatening flash flood warnings. The worst of the weather hit further north in the Lampasas County area, where Governor Greg Abbott says dozens were rescued. Among the tragedy, we continue to hear stories of bravery and heroism. The U.S. Coast Guard members who airlifted many of the young girls at Camp Mystic to safety shared one little girl asked if there was room for her stuffed animal. Another sharing this heartbreaking story.
She's got tears running down her face, and she's scared, clearly. And I turn around and I give her a thumbs up, and I look in her eyes, and she looks back at me, and she gives me a thumbs up back. And at that moment, I knew that I wasn't just moving people from one place to another, but I felt like a dad that was rescuing my daughters.
Rescue crews are prepared to be out here for weeks, if not months, Dana.
All right, Brooke Taylor, and as many of them prepare to lay their loved ones to rest. Thank you, Brooke.
Yeah, it's just horrible, atrocious what is going on and how bad things are. In fact, it's obviously not just Texas either. That's the sad thing. New York City saw its second wettest hour in history as rain caused terrifying freak flash flooding. This was in one of the subways, I believe, just pouring water in. But they got over 1 hour. I guess they got about 2 inches of rain, which I think was only surpassed by about 3 inches they got at 1 hour back in the past. But this has caused some pretty extensive flooding in the New York area. And again, just crazy what's going on with these storms heading across the country. Again, a lot of discussions around the cloud seeding and stuff in Texas. I haven't heard as much of the rumors outside of Texas. But again, these same sets of storms have caused flooding everywhere. Chicago had flooding. New York's had flooding. New Jersey, which we'll talk about. I want to say there was like Alabama or Mississippi in that area, I thought had some pretty extensive flooding. So just insane flooding happening all over the place. Here's New Jersey Turnpike. Now this is pretty crazy. Also, one thing to keep in mind, for some reason I've been watching some stupid car videos, dudes that have taken cars that have been flooded and fix them. When a car's been flooded, it's considered totaled. So be very careful. Water and cars do not work well together. If you get any water at all inside one of your cylinders, you will get water lock. You will destroy your engine. It will bend the shaft. It's extraordinary how much damage water will do to an engine. So again, be careful. Understand driving through these things is not the safest thing. Obviously, you use your own risk. It's kind of screwed if you get stuck someplace, obviously. I think we've got a few images of this New Jersey stuff. Flash flood warning issued for New York City, New Jersey, declaring an emergency as heavy rains are just destroying the area. I think I said one more. I guess that was it. Yeah, so just horrendous, crazy amounts of rain that's going through. All 5 boroughs in New York were under flash flood warnings Monday. It expired at 9:45 p.m., I assume last night. Emergency management officials had warned residents of basement apartments to be ready to leave. If you have a basement, you're probably going to get flooded. So horrible. California protester was arrested for allegedly tossing a tear gas canister at ICE agents during a raid on the cannabis farm. It was a teacher. Professor was arrested, which is fantastic. Jonathan Anthony Caravello, math and philosophy professor at California State University Channel Islands, was arrested by federal agents conducting a raid at Glass House Farms in Ventura County on Thursday. U.S. Attorney Bill Isali posted on X that Caravello was arrested for throwing a tear gas canister at law enforcement agents. I'm assuming they threw one at him. He picked it up and threw it back at them. That's illegal. So again, he got arrested, which is good. I want to see more of these people arrested, frankly. These are the types of people that we need to get off our streets. Not just the illegals out of here that are dangerous, but we need to get the crazy people, the progressives, out of here as well. Tom Homan dealt with a heckler in a, pretty dang efficient way, I might say. Check this out.
We left thousands of empty ICE beds at $127 a night, empty. Thousands of them. They released them to NGOs at $500 a night. Why did they do that? Because they knew if they're in ICE detention, they get a hearing within 40 days, 90% lose their case, they get sent home. That is not what they wanted. They're playing the long game. Let's release them in the community. Wait 3 or 5 years. Pardon me?
Are you an MS-13 member? It says so.
Hey, that's okay. That's okay. I got a question. No. I got a question for you. Why don't you come up here and hand me that picture? Bring it. USA. All right. They got morons like this all over the country. This guy wouldn't know it's like the surface nation. This guy ain't got the balls to be an ICE officer. He hasn't got the balls to be a Border Patrol agent. This guy lives in his mother's basement. The only thing that surprises me, you don't have purple hair and a nose ring. Get out of here, you loser. And you're such a badass, meet me off stage in 13 minutes and 50 seconds. I guarantee you, he sits down to pee. Guaranteed.
So yeah, Tom Homan, I think, pretty much handled that. Rapid Response 47 put this out in response to the fact that so many ICE agents are actually meeting with tremendous violence against them. And, we've got many Democrats that continue to push violent rhetoric.
We are going to fight it legislatively. We are going to fight it in the courts. And we're going to fight it in the streets.
What was that, fucking 5 words you said? Took them an hour.
It's not the 1930s. And every single one of them, no matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes, will of course be.
Is that literally we are seeing ICE agents, I assume they're ICE agents, they say they are, they don't have any identification, they're wearing masks, they're in plain clothes, they are coming and kidnapping and disappearing people.
We will not take this! We will fight back! Fight back! And as I close out, because I know we've been out here for a long time, and goddamn it, shut down the Senate! We are at war! Anytime a person can pay $250 million into a campaign and they be given full access to the Department of Treasury of the United States of America, we are at war!
God, their voices are hard to listen to.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets. They're in unmarked vans, wearing masks, being shipped off to foreign torture dungeons. No chance to mount a defense, not even a chance to kiss a loved one goodbye, just grabbed up by masked agents, shoved into those vans, and disappeared. To be clear, there's no way for us to know whether they were actually criminals or not, because they refused to give them a trial. We're supposed to just take their word for it. And when duly elected members of Congress tried to exercise their constitutional right of oversight at an ICE facility, they get shoved around and threatened with arrest. And when courts told them repeatedly to knock it off, they brazenly defy them.
It is kind of funny how the ones that totally push for communism are the ones that don't like it when something that's very reminiscent of communism happens. But needless to say, here's a little more of this.
I don't know of any police department that routinely wears masks. We know that there are other groups that routinely wear masks. NSC 131 routinely wears masks.
Mayor, just to clarify, are you comparing ICE, you said, to NSC 131, the neo-Nazi group? Are you comparing them to a neo-Nazi group?
What I said is that Boston Police and no police department that I know of at the local level routinely wears masks.
We do know that everyone's getting doxxed, so that is why it's happening. But here's, I think, the final one I'm going to play.
This will be a congressional fight, a constitutional fight, a legal fight, and on days like this, a street fight. Yes, we will stand.
So, yeah, you get the point. You know, they're pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. Immigration and Customs Enforcement got into a spat with a Democratic congressman who they accused of doxing an agent who had been harmed by rocks. Yesterday in Carpinteria, I witnessed ICE agents using unnecessarily aggressive and militarized tactics against local farm workers and peaceful protesters. Rep. Salud Carvajal, this is from California, Democrat. They wrote on X last week, "It was appalling. This is not how we keep our communities safe." Carvajal said that he had a right as a member of Congress to oversee federal operations, but was denied entry. ICE alleged that Carvajal was part of a group of violent protesters who tried to disrupt agents who were executing a search warrant and then doxed an agent who got injured. This is not okay, what is happening right now. So U.S. is launching a new bid to keep migrants detained by denying hearings, is what we're being told. That's a new effort. Let's see. The guidance by the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, a portion of which Reuters reviewed, could be applied to millions of people who cross the border illegally and are contesting their deportation. Congress passed a spending law this month that provides funding to detain at least 100,000 people, a steep increase over the record of 58,000 in custody by late June. The Washington Post first reported the new ICE policy limiting bond hearing eligibility, citing a July 8th memo by its acting director, Todd Lyons. The guidance shared with Reuters called for ICE to interpret several immigration law provisions as prohibitions on release after an arrest, adding their shift in policy was likely to be litigated. It encouraged ICE prosecutors to make alternative arguments in support of continued detention during their immigration court hearings. China-linked tech tycoon Neville Roy Singum's niece is back in New York City. He's backing New York City's Mamdani mayor, the super socialist communist mayor. That Chinese guy that was essentially funding a whole lot of the color revolution stuff that's been happening. Well, this is his niece. A New York Post investigation revealed this week that the Jews for Zoran campaign is spearheaded by Alicia Singum Goodwin, a prominent Democratic Socialist of America organizer and, notably, the niece of Neville Roy Singum. Yes, that Neville Roy Singum, the shadowy billionaire with deep ties to the CCP, who has spent hundreds of millions bankrolling anti-American, anti-Israel, and pro-CCP activism across the globe. Nothing's changed, nothing to see here. 8 Chinese nationals on student visas charged in computer pop-up scan targeting elders. This is something new that kind of came up on July 11th. The defendants who came to the United States to attend college are accused of defrauding more than 50 victims across 19 states out of more than $10 million. They were indicted by a federal grand jury in Williamsport, Pennsylvania for conspiring to commit wire fraud. These indictments highlight the relentless efforts of Homeland Security investigations to safeguard our elderly population from complex fraud operations. And this little section here, we did get a weird little drone attack in northern Iraq oil field. There was two, it seems, from what the articles suggest, there was two drones, one sent to two separate locations. Both were shot down. Singular drones, though. This wasn't any sort of attack. This was very strange. I don't know if this is meant to cause people to want to attack Iran again or what, but this was just very strange. There's one drone carrying explosives, apparently, was intercepted and brought down as early Monday near the Erbil International Airport in Iraq's semi-autonomous Kurdistan region. And then a separate nighttime Monday attack targeted key oil field in the region. The region's Directorate General of Counterterrorism stated that the drone, singular, targeting the airport was shot down at 2:20 a.m. while no casualty or property damage resulted, and no group has taken responsibility for the incident so far. It does suggest the possibility that Iran-allied Shia paramilitaries could be ready to cause havoc. Again, the spin towards Iran once again. We got to go back in and kill Iran. This goes back to the Warhawks. This goes back to the deep state, definitely trying to get a Gog-Magog war. It is desperately trying to figure out how to make that happen. Israel could be very much behind this, frankly, for all I know, or at least the deep state within Israel. Again, I'm trying to be very specific. I don't think it's the normal, everyday Israeli. I think they're kind of the ones that are punished the most by their leadership. And to say specifically who would be tough. I mean, I've pretty much been against Netanyahu from the beginning. There's been my moments where I'm like, I don't know, maybe he's here to do good stuff. Hard to say. I still don't trust him. Probably never will. We'll see. As long as they don't continue to fight like they're trying to, and Trump's even straight up told them in Gaza, it's like, y'all get your shizzle together because this can't keep going on. So we'll see. I don't know. Trump's having a hard time stopping all the wars, that's for sure. But needless to say, we are making every effort possible. I want to remind you guys, of course, of danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. I've got my good friend running out there, Gary, doing a great job running across America. He has a nice room here, by the way. He's been taking his prime across America. All right, so he's been doing the Route 66 thing and taking some really, really cool pictures with the prime as well, but just some great pictures all over the place. This one reminded me of my ex-stepfather, I guess, and my mom passed away, so he immediately remarried, by the way. Never even got my ashes that he was supposed to send me of my mom. Just good stuff. Just stellar dude. All said, he used to do the old-fashioned gas pumps and old neon signs. He'd fix them up. He'd find old ones and then fix them and sell them. It was kind of cool. So anyway, this sort of reminded me of what his shed looked like. But this dude's got, he's all over the place. Some very cool stuff, though. Prime across America. Very good stuff. Prime just giving him huge energy, too. This guy's, he got this actually at the Houston show. It's one of the things that was given away, and that was what he chose. And he's noticing the energy. He takes it in the morning, doing a solid 8 hours of drive, and he says, man, he's just got energy all day. All day he's got energy. What it does is it expands your blood vessels, makes more blood flow through, thusly more oxygen's making it through your body, and it's what it feels like is more energy. Here's the guy right here. Albert Okura. What's that? That Amboy. Anyway, yeah, Roy's. I don't know if that's the hotel he stayed at or what. But again, this guy's been sending me mad amounts of pictures. And Gary, thank you for all that. You've been sending a lot of great stuff. But it's crazy what's going on out there. So, of course, that's the prime we got down here. A lot of energy. Very good stuff. Go to danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Remember your stem cells. Those are what do the healing in your body. Stem Active actually helps enhance your own stem cell count internally. It's not putting stem cells in you. It's causing your body to create more stem cells, 25 to 40%, almost instantly. The pills are those gel caps, so they disintegrate and get into the body very quickly. The gel is about as quick as it can possibly be. It's a liquid. Your body doesn't have to do a whole lot with it other than just start to process and absorb. Both of these will hugely enhance healing. I was having issues with my shoulder. I dislocated it way back when. It was hurting when I was working out. That pain totally went away. Girlfriend had calcification in her shoulder. That had gone away. It took about a month and a half, 2 months for her to get that to go away. It's calcification, pretty serious deal. She's like able to hug me and all that. It's just crazy how much better her shoulder is. Well, it was anyway. I haven't seen her for a month. She gets back in a week. Looking forward to seeing my girlfriend again. It'll be nice. Balance is another really important one to use. Ladies, going through the change. This is making a huge difference, getting rave reviews from the people I've heard from. And again, this is helping them find balance in their life. No kidding. Their temperatures are not all weird. Their moods aren't swinging like crazy. They're actually getting better sleep. Their relationships are better because things are a little more copacetic, if you will. Balance is just doing exactly what it's called, balance. It's a transdermal lotion. You put a little bit on your wrist, you rub your wrists together, and now you got balance flowing through your body. It's all plant-based stuff. There's no hormones in it, so you don't have to worry about doing any more damage to your body. This is actually going to help enhance your experience. Amaze is one of the best things you can possibly do. You got sagging skin, sore muscles, sore joints, discomfort, lifeless hair. You need to grow your fingernails better. Amaze is a collagen peptide. It's one of the best forms. It's liquid again. It's just an incredible way to take this ingredient into your body. That police friend of mine, she noticed with her skin, people were raving about how good her skin looked. Now, she's Hispanic, so her skin always looks awesome anyways. But it did. It had this weird radiant glow going when I saw her. And she was giving credit to the collagen. Stuff's amazing. And of course, Prime, like we mentioned, and Stem Active for your pets. This is about half the price of what it is for humans. It's a chewable tablet. It helps your own pets get their stem cells activated or enhanced, if you will. So any healing they've got, maybe they've got some joint issues, maybe they've got hip dysplasia and stuff. It's not necessarily going to fix their bones, but it can actually fix a lot of the things that causes them discomfort and pain. Now, they may not tell you with their mouths or words, but they will show you in their activity. And this is something I've also heard a lot of people talking about, how their pets just seem to be kind of acting different and better and like they're healing up. Certainly if they've had surgeries of any kind, highly recommend it. Stem Active, stem cells are what do your healing. They're cells that can become any other cell in the body. So you want to get these enhanced whenever we're going through any sort of crazy healing needs, as well as your pets. Go to danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Or, said another way, danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Healthy choices, healthy living, healthy life. It's all good stuff. All right, Tulsi Gabbard explaining why the fight against the deep state is slow. She's talking about the deep state elements within the federal government. Long-standing bureaucratic interests are actively obstructing President Donald Trump's agenda, according to her. Gabbard's remarks came after the Trump administration's controversial decision not to release the Epstein list. Officials have denied the existence of any documents naming alleged high-profile associates of the late financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The decision has drawn criticism from some commentators and see it as evidence of the deep state's enduring influence. Quote, they exist within every single agency of the federal government and the national security state and the propaganda media, Gabbard said at the student conference on Sunday, hosted by conservative nonprofit Turning Point USA in Tampa, Florida. Quote, I feel the same frustration that I see many of you expressing online, she added. Why aren't things going faster? Why aren't we getting results more quickly? The deep state is fighting us every step of the way. Gabbard's comments followed a speech by former Trump campaign strategist Steve Bannon, who called on the audience in Tampa to wait for the eventual full release of documents related to the Epstein case. Bannon argued that a special counsel would be appointed to probe efforts to undermine Trump and his MAGA movement and could bring the materials to light. Quote, and this is from Bannon, Epstein is a key that picks the locks on so many things, not just individuals, but also institutions. Intelligence institutions, foreign governments, and who was working with him on our intelligence apparatus and in our government. Epstein died by apparent suicide in 2019 while in federal custody, awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. The administration's recent refusal to release additional records related to this case has drawn criticism from some of Trump's allies, including Bannon. Trump defended Attorney General Pam Bondi's handling of the matter, saying the idea of the Epstein Files has been exaggerated or fabricated by his political adversaries. Now, this, first off, is Simon Parkes. I am an actually very big fan of Simon Parkes. He's probably one of the very few people out there that, one, I think is coming at stuff from a very, very similar spiritual standpoint. He's got family that were in politics in England as well as the CIA, even though I think his dad was British, but he was apparently working in the CIA. So he's got an interesting background, but on top of that, he's got an extraordinarily interesting background when it comes to spirituality, channeling, and a number of other things. I like this guy a lot. And I'm going to say for a lot of you guys, he actually talked about the moon landings, and I will even admit, it caused me to take a step back from the moon landings. I still think we sent people out and around and maybe landed, at least once or twice, and that's just going based off of a lot of stuff I picked up in the olden days, certain eyewitness testimony from some of the astronauts. A number of the astronauts died from cancer, mind you, so that would, to some degrees, sort of explain, or could be explained, by some of the radiation they experienced from the Van Allen radiation belt. They might have tried to do some shielding, but the weight would have been an issue, and I don't know if we had the technologies to do anything other than lead, and you need like an inch of lead. There's just no way they lie into that capsule in an inch of lead. It would have been way too heavy. So there's just no chance it happened. But there was discussions of astronauts seeing lights. When they'd close their eyes, they could see lights shooting through, and that would be kind of like the radiation. It's kind of how you would see it. So I don't know. There was a lot of very interesting eyewitness type stuff. Whether it was all made up or not, I don't know. But I will say I took a step back. I definitely know they faked a lot of moon stuff. Don't get me wrong. But I was always under the impression that we might have gotten there at least a few times and were told, don't come back. We had similar problems with Mars. We didn't send any people to Mars, but we sent craft to Mars. And Russia's first two craft, Phobos 1 and Phobos 2, you can do some research on that, and they were both met with an odd demise. Something there said no, and that was that. So we've had some interesting experiences in this solar system. So whatever. That said, he talks specifically about Epstein, and frankly, I think his answers, as much as some of you guys are going to hate it, to me, they make the most sense and could very well be a big part of the problem we currently face. And I'm going to expand on, I think, some of the other problems that we currently face. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. But needless to say, I think it's about 5, 6, 7 minutes. Again, very much huge respect for Simon Parkes. See what you guys think. Check it out.
So, do they just pull the plug? I mean, what do they do? I mean, is it going to be a banking collapse?
No, they retire. All the baddies will retire on all their.
But they got to. But we got to see justice, Simon. People got to see justice.
But do we? Do we? You tell me why we've got to see justice.
People will demand it. People will demand it. At least here in America, we know who the bad actors have been exposed. People want to see justice. We know about Obama. We know about Hillary Clinton. Everyone knows now.
Right. Okay. Listen. I mean, I'm agreeing with you. I'm totally agreeing with you, but I'm just, from an ex-politician's point of view and the reality of the world, let me put it this way, because I'm trying to interject world politics. America, up until a few days ago, was the policeman of the world. Not anymore. Trump's made that clear. However, when an American diplomat goes into a meeting, he or she is in a position to really influence that meeting. If you say that an American president, no matter who it is, was corrupt, was into pedophilia, and you do all that, no other country in the world will be told what to do by America. If America goes into a room, they'll say, don't you lecture us. Your president was found guilty of this, and this. And it's for that reason that the truth that you're asking about won't ever come out.
I'm looking at Pam Bondi right now. She has put charges against Letitia James and who is it? Letitia James and Hochul, right? So it looks to me like they're already moving forward with investigations, charges.
Yep.
I seem to think that this looks like it's going in a direction that there's going to be people that are arrested.
Oh, there will, but not the very top. Not people that the whole world look at Great Britain.
You don't see like an Obama or Clinton being arrested.
Look at Great Britain. Your audience will be very clear of what the Queen of England was or was not responsible for. When did she go to court? When was she proved guilty? So here's my point. Somebody who is an icon, not just of a country, but of a culture, isn't going to be brought down because, and I've used this with my own group. I've talked about the candy store, where I've said there's a manager in a candy store with 12 staff. If you go in and you arrest the manager, half the staff don't come to work, the candy store doesn't make any money, and it collapses. But if you just go in and you say to the candy store manager, oh, you're being transferred, you're being retired, and here's the new man, the staff carry on, you still make money, the business operates. So whilst I understand, and I really do, that everybody wants justice and truth, and so do I. But the reality is that at certain level, it's not going to happen because the damage to the United States would be irreparable. And that's why the Queen of England never faced a single charge.
So when, like, my audience will be screaming right now, right? They're going to be saying, well, what about Gitmo? Gitmo's open. They're sending soldiers down there. They're deploying soldiers down there. They're taking in illegal immigrants, violent criminals. It looks like it's setting the stage for politicians, especially after Pam Bondi being put in there as Attorney General. Kash Patel's coming in. I met with Kash Patel in Vegas. I went to go see his government gangsters. He's outlined everything with the people that are, and I've asked him. I said, where are we going with this? And he just smirked and smiled at me. I mean, he put together a whole documentary on the criminals that are going down.
Yeah, but there are certain people who have done deals. They're not going to go down because they've jumped ship. They are with
Eric
the good
Adams.
guys.
He's one of them.
They're with the good guys. So they're not going to go to get one. All right. They're, look at Gina, the ex-CIA, who was caught in Frankfurt. Okay. And we lost some good men in that attack. Okay. She was transferred to Gitmo, and halfway there, she agreed to jump ship. So the airplane turned around halfway to Gitmo and came back again. So I understand people are getting hot under the collar, but it doesn't mean they're being betrayed. What it means is if Trump can pull something off that allows him to get access within days of something other than this bloody route, which he may never get access to, he's going, because, he's a democratic leader. He's got 4 years in office. He's got 4 years to do this. He hasn't got time to waste. So if you've got the shortest route to get to the real key, you're going to do it. Because what Trump and the good guys want to do is to ensure the bad guys can never come back again under any guise at all. So Trump's plan is to destroy the need for these people, the way they feed themselves with cash, their blackmail, all of that. He wants to destroy it, but he's only got 4 years to do it. So he will go for the shortest route. Might not be everyone's cup of tea, as we say in Great Britain, but he's got to do what he's got to do.
And I think that is really one of the biggest problems that we've got with this whole thing. And I can hear a lot of the people in the audience that are going to say, so what if we got to destroy the government? So what if we got to take down all these people? It's worth it. And I would say it's absolutely not. It would absolutely destroy society. It would cause chaos. It would cause pandemonium. It would definitely be one of those things where those that don't have Second Amendment abilities are probably going to suffer greatly. Roaming people on the street, no police capable of stopping it. I hate to say it, but that's definitely not a better reality, just to make sure we can find out who was diddling little boys and girls. Now, again, what has happened is a huge problem, and it seems that it's stopped at least in these couple cases. Diddy's certainly not probably practicing the same behavior, nor is obviously Epstein. He's probably not alive, maybe. Right? So this is part of the transition that we're working through. Laura Trump was talking to Benny, whatever his name is. Pretty good stuff. Check it out.
What would be your advice? Given this back and forth, we're just coming off of Turning Point here in Tampa. This was the topic of conversation. What would be your advice in order to take the temperature down on this issue from within the administration?
Well, I do think that there needs to be more transparency on this. And I think that will happen. I mean, look, I don't know what truly exists there, but I know that this is something that's important to the president as well. He does want transparency on all these fronts, that everything we're talking about, because it's frustrated him as well. He sat for 4 years like the rest of us did and saw lie after lie and saw our country just being sent down the wrong path. And it was really frightening and very upsetting to a lot of people to see. And I would actually say over the past 10 years, we've all kind of endured this. Prior to that, it was probably happening, Benny, but we just weren't as aware of it. It wasn't until Donald Trump came down that golden escalator that he just kind of blew the doors off of everything. And people started to wake up and realize, wait a minute, things are not as they have always been presented to us. And I do believe that you will see that. Now, as it relates to the president, I know that this is probably not his number one thing he's focused on. He's focused on a lot of other important things. We've got this big announcement with Russia going on, I think, as we're speaking right now at the White House. We have, a Middle East, we're trying to get peace over there. We're trying to make sure that Iran's nuclear arsenal is obviously completely decimated. We want to make sure everything is on the right track for this country. Fortunately, you see no border crossings in the last month. 0, by the way. I think that's incredible. No one's talking about that enough. 0 illegal border crossings in the month of June. Amazing how that's all gone. So I don't know that this was top of mind for him, but he hears all the noise and he hears all of the consternation out there. And I think he's going to want to set things right as well. So I believe that there will probably be more coming on this. And I believe anything that they are able to release that doesn't, damage any witnesses or anyone underage or anything like that, I believe they'll probably try to get out sooner rather than later because they hear it and they understand it. So hopefully we see that happen sooner than later. And I guess that would be my advice. But to everybody out there who's all worked up about it, there's no great plot to keep this information away that I'm aware of. I do just believe that maybe it's been slow rolled for reasons that hopefully we understand down the line. And I think we're probably going to get more transparency on it very soon.
And again, the big question kind of is we keep talking about the client list, quotes, client list, right? Is that the flight list? What is the client list? Everyone says this client list existed. Well, the flight list definitely existed, and much of that has been leaked. Is that what they're talking about? And I'm literally asking this. I'm not trying to be facetious or I mean, maybe it's just naivete, sure, but is that the client list? Because that even isn't necessarily fair. Just because you flew there doesn't mean that you're a pedophile. It doesn't. I know we call it Pedophile Island, but it doesn't. And that's also part of the problem with this whole thing. And to kind of couch or kind of join in, spoon with, if you will, Laura Trump's point, is that Trump is worried about way larger things right now. Way larger things. And if maybe you don't realize that stopping the war that could turn into World War III and kill many billions plus of people, you think it's more important that we go after a pedophile rapist that might very well have affected hundreds of people. I think there's a priority issue. And I get we want to see and find out who all these horrible people are. I get that. But we also have way larger problems that are happening. We've got deep state in places within our government that are doing damage. We've got the potentiality that we've still got people messing with our weather. We claim to have control of everything, but I don't know, we're still getting some weird issues with some of the weather where it does, in fact, seem like technology is being used. And you would think that we have control of that. Maybe we don't. Right? Maybe it's some satellites that they've managed to get built by China, or maybe it's some other country, and so they're able to use those because we don't have control of them yet. A lot is going on. And unfortunately, things definitely are not as simple as we keep trying to make it. House Democrats are trying to turn the Epstein affair to their advantage. They wanted to get a vote. They actually tried to get a vote. We'll get there in a sec. Rep. Roy Khanna took to writing, why are the Epstein Files still hidden? Who are the rich and powerful being protected? Of course, they're trying to spin this like this is bad for Trump. Senator John Ossoff, who was running for re-election, chimed in. Trump promised to release the Epstein Files. Did anyone really think the sexual predator president who used to party with Jeffrey Epstein was going to release the Epstein Files? Again, they didn't used to party together. It's like one picture, I think, and Trump kicked him out of his club because of what was happening with the girls. But again, this is just part of the game that's being played right now. And a whole lot of MAGA people, especially because of our good friend Laura Loomer and her like, are causing severe breakdown in our own ranks. Severe breakdown. Here's the funny thing. Democrats don't do that. We do. We destroy our own selves. We destroy our own selves. It's just fun to watch, frankly. It is absolutely. I know ultimately we're going to be fine, but it is fun to watch how our side is behaving on this. Absolutely. With all the information that's tried to come out from people that we trusted just seconds ago, who now, because they're not saying what we want them to say, we don't trust them. It's just a perfect example of us, of our side. I'm personally disgusted, but I think this is what's going to help turn things around. But it's just Absolutely amazing to me. Amazing to me. So Rep. Ro Khanna, she introduced an amendment demanding the full release of the Epstein Files. Every member of Congress tomorrow should be forced to vote on this amendment. Okay, that's pretty cool, pretty crazy, right? Well, it happened. Republican lawmakers did manage to block the move that could have forced President Donald Trump and their administration to release the files on the sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's death and investigation, which is kind of interesting, right? The specific, if we're going to take the words, because they do generally matter, right? To the release of the files on the sex offender of the death and investigation. All but one of the GOP members of the House Rules Committee voted against a Democrat amendment. All but one GOP member voted against it. Democrats want to see the truth behind Epstein. Why don't the Republicans? Why don't the Republicans want to see it? Now, I'm just going to throw this question at you guys. What if overwhelmingly, and I honestly think this is probably the truth, what if overwhelmingly the people that get caught up in the Epstein thing are Republicans? What if we completely lost all of our majority? All of it. Senate and House. What would then happen to the rest of this presidency? Do you want to fix this world or no? What's more important to you, finding out about Epstein or actually fixing the world? Because you probably can't have both. We just found out the GOP is against it. Why? Why? And again, think about it. If we lost our majority, we'd be fucked, wouldn't we? What's more important? Again, I'm borderline entertained. Jamie Raskin says it's dangerous to the public health and safety not to release the Epstein files. How is it that the Democrats are on the same side of the fence as most of our audience? How? That should almost scare many of us. Or at the other side, I mean, there's the other side of this, which I kind of thought and have been speculating that that's what Trump's plan was. Make this a across the aisle thing. Let's get both sides of the fence talking about it and then release the information. But again, after hearing Simon Parks say what he said, I'm like, I hear you. I hear you, Simon. That actually does make sense. As much as I can hear it, many people don't like it. Going to piss off a lot of people. Actually, it's funny as I've seen a few people that have literally unsubscribed from me. I notice it more on YouTube just because it's such a small number of subscribers per day I pick up. And then if I lose one, it's like, and it's usually right when I've done a video like this. And then I pick them up anyways. So it's not the end of the world. It is what it is. All those good things. Kevin Spacey even put this out. Release the Epstein files. All of them. For those of us with nothing to fear, the truth can't come soon enough. I hate to make this about me, but the media already has. Kevin Spacey even pushing for the Epstein files. Now, again, is it because they know they'll never come out? That's possible. That's very possible. Seems very strange, though, that we're, again, on the opposite side of the Democrats. Or at least, I'm sorry, we're on the same side as the Democrats, which is a little weird. GOP senators want nothing to do with the Trump, Epstein, MAGA controversy. They apparently don't want to get into this. They're scrambling to steer clear of this controversy. Why? Why? It's very strange. DOJ under Trump urges SCOTUS not to take up Ghislaine Maxwell's case in this filing. So U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi on Monday urged the U.S. Supreme Court not to take up Ghislaine Maxwell's case in a Department of Justice filing. Maxwell's lawyers stated that she should not have been put on trial due to the plea deal that disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein got. Didn't apply to her, though. Whatever. She shouldn't have had to be involved in this. Shouldn't be in trouble. Attorney General Pam Bondi's DOJ responded to Maxwell's lawyers' filing Monday and urged the Supreme Court not to take up her case. Again, we'll see. Many think John Roberts might very well be tied into this Epstein stuff, at least if not, some very strange stories around potential adoptions of the children he has, or one of the children. So, again, I think this is way bigger than most of us can even pretend to appreciate. Again, we'll see what tends to happen. Justice Department ethics chief has been fired by Pam Bondi. One of the last people, or last few anyways, left behind for this January 6th thing that they were doing to all of us people on our side of the fence, all the conservatives that got trapped up in that whole January 6th thing. She fired this individual, Terrell, a former Navy officer and longtime federal ethics lawyer, was removed via a short termination letter from Bondi with no reason given. Terrell had previously advised Special Counsel Jack Smith on ethics matters related to Trump's prosecution, Bloomberg said. Within the department, Terrell was responsible for counseling top officials, including Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel, on ethics matters such as recusals, financial disclosures, and conflicts of interest. He likely had a conflict of his own interest, it sounds like. So, again, how these things play out is important. Trump is clearing out immigration judges to expedite deportations. Another interesting story. There was a number of immigration judges across several states that received termination notices last Friday, informing them their employment would end on July 22nd. This development marks another round of personal cuts within the immigration court system. The judges, all nearing the completion of their 2-year probationary term, they were notified through email. According to a copy of the message, the decision was made under constitutional authority. Pursuant to Article 2 of the Constitution, the Attorney General has decided not to extend your term or convert it to a permanent appointment. We've had a lot of problems trying to work through the 4 million person backlog or case backlog. And so having some of these judges and some of the stuff that they've been doing and trying to essentially thwart our immigration practices, they've gotten rid of a lot of those judges. They're going to replace them with judges who are actually going to follow the Constitution and help with this process. This is just another example of the cleaning out that we have to do and continue to do. And I would argue is likely way more important right now anyways than any of the Epstein crap. Way more important. Way more important. The Epstein stuff is super important. Not nearly as important as a lot of the crap that we've got to get figured out. The elections have got to get worked out, especially before we go and fire almost all of the people of Congress, or at least most of the Republicans. SCOTUS greenlights Trump's Education Department reforms, and firing. The U.S. Supreme Court on Monday allowed the Trump administration to continue its efforts to scale back the Department of Education. Can I just say how weird it is that they did this on Monday, which would have been yesterday, the 14th of July, which their summer recess started July 1st, didn't it? Anyway, whatever. They did this on Monday. Lifted a lower court's injunction that had blocked mass layoffs and the transfer of department function to other federal agencies. The decision marks a significant victory for the administration's push to reduce federal involvement in education and return control to the states. It's another big, powerful move. The U.S. Appeals Court has blocked well, for now anyways, the bid for President Trump's administration to strip temporary protected status from thousands of Afghans. Again, the appeals process will continue. But this is only the Afghans. He already got permission to do the Haitians, and I forget the other two, Nicaragua and one other or something like that. Cuban, maybe. But they are not allowed to have protected status anymore. This will probably follow the same suit. We'll see. Senate confirms its first new judge of Trump's second term. They voted to confirm the first judicial nominee, Whitney Hermandorfer, sure. She was confirmed in a 46-42 vote along party lines. Sounds like we were missing quite a few people. Well, what was it, 88? Yeah, like 12 people. Holy crap. Anywho, this is going to be on the 6th Circuit Court of Appeals, which is Kentucky, Michigan, Ohio, Tennessee. This is going to make that court a little bit more conservative. I think this is one of our more liberal courts, so this is kind of a pretty big deal that we're moving in that direction, certainly. Senate Majority Leader John Thune says the Senate is on track to vote tonight, on a package clawing back approximately $9.4 billion in congressionally approved spending, making the announcement shortly after locking down Senator Mike Rounds. He's a Republican from South Dakota. His key vote, apparently. So it sounds like they're barely going to get this vote across, but they're getting the vote across. I'll be very curious to see which Republicans do not vote for this. They will never see the light of day again when it comes to re-election, ever. So, again, Trump's already made that clear, and I will certainly be a huge part of backing that, as for darn sure. California Senate passes a bill to let LA buy fire-destroyed lots for low-income housing. This is what we were all talking about They're smart cities and all that kind of stuff, except it's not even that cool. That's the sad part. Like, if they would have at least tried to do the smart city thing, at like, I don't know, might have been cooler. What they're doing is they're taking these lots and probably people that they can't rebuild, right? They can't do anything. They're still having to pay property tax, even though they don't have property. I mean, they technically have the land, but no building. They're still being charged tax. These people are screwed and in most cases can't afford to just pay nothing for nothing or pay something for nothing. So then they're getting offered what they're calling a fair amount of money to give up those lots so they can turn it into low-income housing. This is what LA wants to do. This is what Karen Bass wants to do. This is what Gavin Newsom wants to do to the United States, for that matter. Like Zamdani or Ramdani or whatever the frick his name is, he's essentially exactly what Gavin Newsom is, except Gavin Newsom's just better at it. Better at pretending he's not a socialist as hardcore as Mamdani. I got his name right there. Eric Adams is once again denied the $3.4 million in matching funds, but it sounds like this probe, it sounds like he won a big step towards getting that money. There was some paperwork that had to be given for this investigation that's been dropped, by the way. But there's still some paperwork that they're claiming needed to be turned in. Supposedly, Adams has got that turned in or recently just completed that. Once that's received, there's no reason for him not to get the money that he's supposed to get. And these are matching funds that they're supposed to give all candidates. So this is going to help out Eric Adams take down Mamdani, obviously. This is one of those stories that I guess for me, it's kind of like, as far as Oswald. Oswald was definitely being helped by the CIA. I didn't really, I mean, they even made that pretty clear, I thought, in the JFK movie. All said, there's new docs that are out now that says the CIA lied for decades about ties to Oswald via Miami officer Joanides. I don't know how to say that. They funded the anti-Castro exiles clashing with him pre-JFK assassination. Cover-up apparently has been confirmed. No murder role, but government owes explanations. Of course they lied. Of course they lied. So again, not even remotely surprised. Devin Nunes was chatting with Mr. Haircut here. What's his face? Yeah, let's check it out anyways. I hadn't actually listened to this. Talking about the Russians, what they knew, this campaign that's going on right now to bust Brennan and Comey. We've got some major information that Kash Patel is going to be releasing. We're going to start here because I think the next story or two is where I'm going to get into the Kash side of things. But here's Nunes talking about all this.
There was a document that you nor I saw back in 2017 that was actually, and 18 while we were doing this investigation. It didn't appear until right before the election in 2020, October 2020. Then Director Ratcliffe declassifies this document. And it was sent in 2016, September of 2016, from the CIA to Director Comey and to Peter Strzok. That document we never saw. So there's just, you got to put a little bit of common sense to this. If you listen to what your interaction with Brennan was, he never briefed us on this. He knew. The CIA sent to Comey and to the FBI that the Russians and others knew that the Clinton campaign and the DNC were actively involved in stirring up a Russian controversy with Trump. That was real intelligence. It never made it to us. It really didn't allow President Trump to govern in his first term because, as you and I know, everything was about Russia all the time, and it was all a bunch of nonsense. And hopefully now they'll be able to get to the bottom of this and people can be held accountable.
Yeah, there was a cloud, Chairman, and you were there for it. You tried to remove the cloud, but some combination of Adam Schiff and the media made it really hard. Not only did the so-called intelligence community rely on the work of a fired FBI informant and Christopher Steele, but Comey and Brennan insisted Steele's information be included so it would then be leaked. So it is actually even worse than what the public understands. These leaks came from Comey and Brennan.
Well, Trey, remember, right after the election in 2016, we were briefed by the FBI and the other intelligence agencies, and we were told that everything was normal. Yeah, the Russians, all the usual suspects were up to their usual games, but there was nothing unusual about it. This was a week or two after the election in 2016. me and you, we had been running an investigation and warning the Obama administration about Putin for a very long time. Then we went home for Thanksgiving, and the Senate got a different briefing. So in between that time, Obama and company, including had to be Comey, had to be Brennan, conspired to produce this ICA. That then in December, I put out 3 different press releases. In fact, I'll post those after the show here on True Social so that everybody can see them. I think you'll like to see them too, Trey, where I warned, I said, look, this looks like political nonsense here. This looks like that things are not right. 3 different press releases saying that we wanted the FBI and CIA to come and brief us in December of 16. Now, why does all this matter? We then did a long investigation looking into this ICA that had the dossier shoved into it, that it should have never been shoved into it, because now we know that Brennan and Comey, everybody knew this was a Clinton campaign hoax. So what happened to that ICA? We did an exhaustive study of it, Trey. You remember. That report, which I still can't believe this, that report has still not been put out. Now, Director Ratcliffe put out something recently about the tradecraft issues at the CIA. But the report that we did, Trey, that you're well aware of, that still has not been released. And I think Chairman Crawford, a Republican from Arkansas, he has requested that be put out. And I think that you and I would both agree that that should be put out.
So one of many things is going to come out, and again here, the henchmen behind Brennan's fake Russia collusion assessment, they're still working at the CIA. The analysts who crafted the corrupt intelligence community assessment, the ICA, on Russia's meddling in the 2016 presidential election on behalf of disgraced former CIA Director John Brennan, remains active at the CIA, a source familiar tells us. Multiple other sources familiar with the House Intelligence Committee's investigation into the Russia collusion hoax added that HPSCI interviewed the specific people responsible for writing the ICA, and as the Federalist reported earlier this week, the HPSCI staff report established that the ICA was significantly worse and significantly more corrupt than conveyed in the memorandum released last week by CIA Director John Ratcliffe. It's even worse than what we've been told thus far, and the dude is still working there, or the person. I don't know if it's dude or chick. John Solomon's providing us with an update on this massive news that he broke about Kash Patel kind of needing some sign-off and some declassification so we can move forward with this investigation and hopefully publicly bring some of this to the surface.
The theme of tonight's show is accountability, and we are starting to get some recently. Our new reporting up at justthenews.com says that the FBI has opened what they are calling a grand conspiracy probe on the weaponization of government and the Department of Justice, dealing with everything from the Russian collusion hoax back in 2016 right up to Jack Smith's antics nearly a decade later. It will be investigated as a possible ongoing criminal conspiracy. A lot of things happen with that. Now, the investigation was opened several weeks ago by FBI Director Kash Patel, and now it might get a big-time boost from President Trump. They need him to declassify tranches of evidence that could signal how the 2016 Russia collusion conspiracy started. We're going to try to see if we can get President Trump on the show tomorrow night. We'll keep you posted on that. Now, remember Hillary Clinton's classified email server? That's what the first piece of evidence is related to, a classified annex to the Inspector General's probe of the Clinton email server. Now, apparently, that annex is said to show some wrongdoing was done, but it was ignored by the FBI. They didn't look at it. We'll have a guest on later in the show that can help us understand what that's all about. The second tranche of evidence also deals with Hillary Clinton, and it was identified by former Russiagate Special Counsel John Durham. It was placed in a classified annex also. It was dubbed in Durham's report the Clinton Plan Intelligence. So the central question is twofold. What did the government know about how Russiagate started? And when did they know it? Because if they knew it wasn't credible, that Hillary Clinton was behind it and it was just a dirty trick, and they started to investigate it anyways, it's going to be a big problem, a big part of that conspiracy. The ball is now in Attorney General Pam Bondi's court. She can decide to appoint a special prosecutor on this, and if she does and treats it like an ongoing conspiracy, the statute of limitation for old crimes goes away, and she can impanel a grand jury in a place like Florida, not District of Columbia. Why? Because Jack Smith raided President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home in Florida. So that'll be a big advantage for the prosecution. We'll keep you up to date on all of that at justthenews.com on these breaking topics.
And again, I would still say that I think this Russia collusion hoax is significantly more important than Epstein. Significantly more important. And the only argument, not to try to keep kicking the dead horse, but it's like, is Epstein still committing and raping children, or is that done, right? It's done, right? Do we still have deep state still fucking with us? Yeah, that, to me, makes it a bigger priority, right? Epstein's crimes have stopped. Now, maybe others are doing it, but Epstein's crimes have stopped. Diddy's crimes likely have stopped. That's a success in its own right. Now, did everyone get taken down? No, not yet. That's hopefully going to come, but we'll see. Donald Trump truthed this out. I have always suspected Shifty Adam Schiff was a scam artist, and now I learned that Fannie Mae's Financial Crimes Division have concluded that Adam Schiff has engaged in a sustained pattern of possible mortgage fraud. Adam Schiff said that his primary residence was in Maryland to get a cheaper mortgage and rip off America when he must live in California because he was a congressman from California. I always knew Adam Schiff was a crook. The fraud began with the refinance of his Maryland property on February 6, 2009, and continued through multiple transactions until the Maryland property was correctly designated as a secondary home on October 13, 2020. Mortgage fraud is a very serious, and crooked Adam Schiff, now a senator, needs to be brought to justice. Yes, these politicians need to come down, the ones that were directly involved with illegally impeaching President Trump. That's almost more important. Puerto Rico faces blackout threat after new fortress halts LNG shipment. There's some weird stuff going on here, but there's this company, New Fortress Energy, and it basically made a sweet deal, a $20 billion deal or something for LNG to help power some reactors or some power plants they have. Not reactors, it'd be a poor way of saying it. Apparently, this ship was about to dock and start to offload, and it ended up turning around. This has been canceled, they say, because this would essentially have given this New Fortress Energy a monopoly on liquid natural gas to the island. They feel that's totally unsafe. So whatever the case is, Puerto Rico was like this close to not having enough power. The LNG would have been a big deal. I don't know. We'll see. Puerto Rico's in pretty bad shape, that's for sure. But yeah, this contract would have given exclusivity rights, which isn't really okay at this point. European surprise, why we misread the continent's shifts. So again, there is this very conservative push in Europe that's happening, and nobody seems to really be noticing it. I mean, we talk about it, of course, but nobody of the regular media. But many people are wondering what's up with analysts and policymakers because they can't seem to explain what's going on. From UK's Brexit vote to Giorgia Meloni's rise in Italy, Alternative für Deutschland, the AfD, surge in Germany, Dutch farmers' revolts, Marine Le Pen's ascent in France. Yet all these people are like, no, we didn't see this coming. This is happening. And Ursula von der Leyen is actually, that's why they keep trying to kick her punk ass out. We don't quite have enough of this conservative movement, but we do have enough nasty stuff happening in Europe to, I think, help push that forward. So again, Europe's going through its own version of awakening right now. Oddly, there's this one tiny EU state that's kind of holding up Europe's 18th package of Russia sanctions. Tiny little Malta. They're the key holdout. And really what they're saying is a big part of the way they make money is through shipping. And if they can't continue to keep oil prices where they are, they're going to lose a ton of money. And they're like, we can't afford to do that. So no, we're not okay with capping Russia's oil. They were going to cap it from $60 down to $45 a barrel. But that would hurt Malta as well. So this is part of the problem, right? We're so determined to screw Russia that we're actually screwing a bunch of our friends in the process. And that's probably would be considered unacceptable, right? United States of the European Union, or United States and the European Union are eyeing Greenland for rare earth metals. I'm going to let my girl Tiffany Meyer tell us about it.
The U.S. and the European Union are eyeing Greenland's massive untapped rare earth deposits. These minerals show up in everything from smartphones to fighter jets. The move follows a recent deal between Washington and Beijing to ease rare earth export restrictions. But despite the deal, the U.S. still appears determined to cut its reliance on China. China currently dominates the global rare earth supply chain. That's where Greenland comes in. It's not just rich in minerals, it's also strategically located between the U.S. and Europe. Both the U.S. and EU are looking to invest in Greenland's rare earth industry. The island also hopes to strike deals with them to break China's grip on rare earths and diversify its supply chains. Greenland's Minister for Business and Minerals says Chinese trade policies on rare earths have restricted their access to global markets. A critical mineral security expert at a U.S.-based think tank says China has been weaponizing its control over rare earths. Now it's a race to find new suppliers. The U.S. has already secured rare earth deals elsewhere, like the May agreement with Ukraine to access its mineral reserves. But tapping Greenland's resources won't be easy. About 80% of the island is covered in ice, and extraction costs are high. On top of that, Greenland has strict environmental protections. A Chinese-backed mining project was shut down in 2021 after Greenland banned uranium mining. Experts say that reflects Greenland's careful approach to granting access to its mineral resources.
I think there's like this weird small part of me that actually wants Tiffany Meyer to find out I'm secretly hot for her. Though I don't make any secret of it, right? And then I'll just create problems. I don't know what's going to happen then. That'll be unfortunate. Hey, want to remind you guys, MyPillow. Man, getting the best night of sleep is super important. Obviously, if you guys want to help out with Mike Lindell's endeavors with this trial that he's got going on with Dominion, and he does need some help on that for sure, and he is going after an extraordinarily large company that needs to be gone after. Go to mypillowtrial.com. That's mypillowtrial.com. That said, for some of the best, well, to get the best night of sleep you've ever had, ooh, what is this? Leather protectant spray? $5. That's pretty rad. And by the way, everything you buy on this site goes to help Mike Lindell and his processes too. One of the best things going on right now, you want to go to mypillow.com/OTF first off. mypillow.com/OTF. Giza sheets, all sizes, all colors, $49.98. This is huge. The twins were up to $67. The kings were $130. No matter what, especially if you've got a bigger bed, you got to take advantage of this. These are the Giza sheets. They're the high thread count. They're beautiful sheets. It's the only ones I have. I got like 3-4 pair of them. I got like one bed I use them on. But I do have a second bed downstairs that they're sitting on there. I just don't ever use that bed, so they're still sitting on that bed. But they're Giza sheets. They're incredible. Awesome. High thread count, beautiful colors, some of the nicest sheets you'll probably ever use. Seriously, $49.98. You cannot go wrong. The My Slippers, $39.98. They're normally $150. Saving $110. My Slippers. And you can get that leather protectant spray if you want to wear them outside and they might get a little bit wet. They definitely have the soles to do it. They have a rubber non-slip sole. They got like 7 layers in there. They're hand-stitched on the side. And then they've got like a cloud they shove inside of them with all this fuzz and fur. They're incredible slippers. Super comfortable. You will freaking love them. Get the My Slippers as well. $39.98. This is an insane deal that will not last. That is a for sure. Also the best towels ever. Whether it's the kitchen towels, whether it's their regular bath towels, whether it's their beach towels that you can save 50%. And there's really big towels, by the way. Their towels are incredible. The way they absorb, just the best towels ever. And their dog beds, $39.98. I hope you love your dog at least enough to get them a MyPillow that they can sleep on, because they're going to love it. They're going to be stoked. And the Rev 7, if you haven't tried it, it's like 0 calories. There's like 10 milligrams of sodium, and there's a crap ton of energy and a crap ton of flavor. I don't know how they do it, but it is delicious. The green one tastes just like Jolly Rancher. That green Jolly Rancher, just like it. Lemonade tastes just like lemonade. And my favorite's the blueberry citrus. Oh, man, it's good. I don't even know how to describe it. Blueberry and citrus. That'd be my best guess. It tastes like that. It's so freaking good. That is easily my favorite flavor, but any of them are amazing. Try the 3-pack for free. All you got to do is pay for shipping, and you are going to be stoked for doing it. And the amount of energy is impressive, to say the least. Got a bed that needs a new mattress? They literally can ship mattresses to you. It's hard to believe, but they actually can. $799.99. It's an incredible deal. And they've also got the topper sitting at $149.97 as well. Incredible. And the original MyPillow. I can't forget that. And My Cross. Mike Lindell's My Cross. He's got the 2 different versions, slight different color. They got a white one with like a black on the outside of it. And then they've got the one that's pictured here, the black innard with the silver. They're made of sterling silver. There's men's and women's sizes. Just beautiful cross, saving 50% on that. Again, everything that you do here is helping out Mike Lindell in the big picture. Also, my store. Use the same coupon code OTF or go to mystore.com/OTF. A lot of amazing products there. They're made in America. You're helping American-made entrepreneurs. And again, this is kind of a competition against Amazon. If you've got an American-made product, I highly recommend you go to mystore.com/OTF and go to the very bottom. It's like My Product or Submit Product or something to that effect. Click on that, fill out the information you need to fill out, and you could be supported right there. That easy. Again, great products. They've got honey. They've got the spray wax stuff. I'm going to pull it up just because I like that spray wax stuff. Really? You're going to make it that difficult? Where is it? I love it. I mean, they got all sorts of good stuff in here, but see if they still sell it, for that matter. Really? Oh, it's gone. They got rid of show more products. Oh, well, looks like it's not easily to find anymore. That's a shame. Beautiful cross there, though. Look at that. That Yoko custom copper cross. It's beautiful. Got some really good stuff in here. Anyway, I'm not going to find it, but it's super cool if you do come across it. But it's a spray wax. It cleans, and then once you're done like doing the clean part, you get a clean rag and then wipe off the residue, and it's basically a wax at that point. And it acts just like a wax. I actually used to use it on the hood of my car, not my newer car, but my old I had an old Mazda that it looked beautiful after I do it. Looked beautiful. So I'd bring it back from the car wash and then do my best to dry it, and then I'd use that to get the water spots off, and it put a wonderful coat of wax. Powerful products. Anyway, go to mypillow.com/OTF. mypillow.com/OTF. Get the best night of sleep you have ever had. Trump announces great trade deal with Indonesia after threatening 32% tariffs. They came to the table, made some deal. Supposedly it's going to be announced later. We don't have the specifics on it, but apparently is coming. MP Materials surges. That's that company that's going to be doing the precious metals that we got here in the United States just recently, and their stock has gone through the roof. Apple's announcing a big partnership with them as well to get the those little mini magnet pieces or whatever. So that's happening, rare earth stuff. NVIDIA and AMD are supposedly going to get a green light to begin selling to China. This concerns me a little bit, but whatever. I'm going to kind of trust Trump on this one. But I don't like the idea of giving China any help, frankly, right now. At the same time, I understand they need chips, and that could create problems with the rare earths if we don't work some sweet deals with them. So that's probably part of what's going on. Trump tariff is cutting a flood of Chinese goods into America. This is not helping China right now, and it's certainly helping with the trade deficit. So it's a pretty big impact. We did notice that the consumer prices did rise a teeny bit, 0.3% up to about 2.7%. So we are seeing a tiny bit of inflation. What I think is amazing about this is most likely this will be the reason Powell doesn't lower rates again. I've been saying he won't. I don't think he can. I think the whole plan is to get him to be blamable and to, either A, cost us so much money that we can't have you in there, or just to make it so painful for him that we're able to get somebody in there that's able to do the right stuff for us and help get the interest rates to where they should be. And then ultimately we can refinance our debt and save ourselves a crap ton of money there. And hopefully with everything else that's happening, pay it down. Now, again, I don't like the idea of giving whoever owns the Federal Reserve, I don't like the idea of giving them any money. I'd rather walk away from any debt we owe them. Now, any debt we owe other countries and stuff like that, we need to pay that. Any debt we owe the Fed, we need to just grab a testicle and tell them to suck it. Or a titty, if it's, whatever fits. I mean, you could be a man with moobs too, right? So you theoretically grab one of your man moobs, your man boob, just move it, and just be like, suck it, right? Because maybe you haven't seen your testicles in a long time. Like, I don't know. Maybe they're not there anymore. We don't know. We don't know, folks. We don't know. China's going to inject $31.5 billion of liquidity into the banking system. They've actually been doing this a bunch lately. A lot. It's kind of weird. This month, the central bank has conducted 3 other reverse repo operations, which is what they call it. 98.5 billion yuan, or about 13.6 billion, July 2nd. $7.9 billion on July 3rd. I'm just using our money because it makes more sense to us. And $10.5 billion on July 9th. Well, July 15th, they just added another $31.5 billion. It's a big chunk of money. It's a lot of cash they're essentially having to print to put into their system. That's liquidity. That causes inflation, a butt ton of inflation. China's going through a very tough time, and this is kind of their way of typically dealing with stuff, but because of the trade deficits and all the things that are happening, China's definitely being punished right now. Stock prices, they're all right. Gold's down a teeny tiny bit. Well, a little bit. It was actually barely down earlier in the day. This is just like, yeah, it was up, then it was down. This is kind of crap we've been seeing. Futures, where's silver at right now? Silver's down a little again still. It was up over 39 recently, but phew, I mean, still, it's incredible. So a lot happening there, and yeah, we'll just see what continues to happen in the big picture. But yeah. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says formal process to find Jerome Powell's successor has started. Many people say that Scott would be a great choice. Scott doesn't personally want it, but he'll do whatever the president asks. But I like this dude a lot, especially since the rumor, I assume it's true, but the rumor that popped out that he might have been the one that popped Musk in the eye, gave him that little black eye because Musk had punched him in the stomach or the side or something. They had some sort of little tuffle. And I don't know if Musk said something like, what, punch me if you want. And maybe Scott just decked him in the face. I don't know. Maybe he just punched him back right after it happened. Who knows? But I like Scott a bunch. He seems like a pretty bang-up dude, no pun intended. Trump wants Gaza deal straightened out within the next week. It's like, look, Israel, get your shit figured out in Gaza. Get it done in 1 week's time. Don't ask us for anything else until that's taken care of. We'll see if it happens. We actually are charging them tariffs too, by the way, which I don't know how happy they are. Zelensky replaces their defense minister, the outgoing defense chief, Rustem Umerov. He's apparently going to be the ambassador to the United States now, but they've got this new guy, Dennis Schmigel. He's going to be the new defense minister. I don't know what this is going to do in the big picture. Yeah, I don't know if they're trying to shift the war to something slightly different now or what is happening over in Ukraine. Doge's lead, Steve Davis. He did not go quietly into the night, apparently. He was basically let go and then continued to act like he was still in charge for a week or two. Like, kept telling people, and then started checking people's loyalty to him and doing all this weird stuff. Like, very, very strange. Long story short, he's been removed officially. But yeah, very, very strange what's happened. And apparently all the different departments that have Doge personnel working for them have the ability or right to fire them at will. So I don't know what's going on there, but it is what it is. This is sad. I bring it up mainly because it's a concern for any of you guys out there that are content creators. There's one person that's popping into my mind right now, and I would never say the name of the individual, but when you reach a point where you start chasing likes, start chasing clicks, start becoming so concerned about what everybody else thinks, that when the public turns against you, and they do, and they will, you could be trying to do everything right. You could be trying to be the best human being on this planet, and sometimes you say things that are correct, or at least in the right direction of correct, but they aren't what people want to hear, so you get beat up for it. And that can be very difficult for a lot of people that really care about what other people think. And I know it sounds weird to say don't care what other people think, but don't care what other people think. Ultimately, you're the one that has to stand before the Creator, not anybody else. So they're not the ones that really matter. And there's all these people out there that say that you should listen to your people that are listening to you. I disagree with that tremendously. You should not necessarily listen to the people that are out there. And again, that pisses people off when you say that. But one, there's many, many, many thousands of people, or millions with some people's audiences. To listen to one or two people that are making points, and then you start to change your show for one or two people, you're doing it for a teeny, tiny, infinitesimally small percentage of your audience. You're not listening to your audience. You're listening to individuals. Now, if you get ratioed on something, that's a different story, right? You got bunches of people. That represents a larger bit of your audience. Then, yeah, you probably should pay attention. You got one or two people that are pissed off at you. Who cares? That's part of the game. Don't listen to them. They're actually going to steer you in the wrong direction. They might think they're trying to steer you in the right direction. They might do all sorts of things. Be careful. That's all I'm going to say. Now, I bring all this up because this is very sad. This is this lady that was an animal activist, Michaela. I think I'm saying that properly. Her last name's Rains. Well, we found out what her cause of death was. She was 29 years old. She was extremely successful. Probably making gobs of money. Obviously very attractive, right? Helping animals, all that stuff. She killed herself. She ended her life. She couldn't bear what she was feeling. She apparently got in some sort of issue with her audience. 2.45 million YouTube subscribers. This chick was probably making, just from YouTube alone, she had to have been probably in the 20, 30, 40 grand a month range. A month. And she killed herself because of an online bullying campaign from people she knew and those who worked at other animal sanctuaries over the years. She felt like the whole world had turned against her and killed herself. Like that. Just sad. This is very sad. This looks like my buddy. Wow. Looks like a buddy I worked for way back when. Holy crap. That's not him, but jeez. Oh my God, it looks just like him. That tripped me out for a second. That almost scared me. Holy crap. Man, so Ozempic is something that I don't want to say afraid of, but I think this is going to cause so many problems. I think there's going to be a number of people that this is going to cause permanent appetite suppression, permanent weight loss that doesn't stop. I don't think it's going to be everybody, but I think there's going to be, we're literally, I think, going to see people skinny up down to the bones and then die because of Ozempic. I don't know this. I'm not saying that I know anything about Ozempic. This has just been my fear. Okay. I'm going to say that just from all the legal standpoints, because again, I don't know. I'm not a pharmacist. Don't listen to me about anything like this, but people are now experiencing this Ozempic mouth and Ozempic teeth. It's messing up their teeth really badly and their gums. Apparently the problem is it creates, amongst many things, I mean, diarrhea, vomiting, and a whole bunch of stuff like that. It's also causing dry mouth. The saliva in your mouth is actually something that really protects your mouth. It helps wash your teeth off. It does a lot of really, really good stuff. And when you get dry mouth for extended periods of time, that actually creates problems for your teeth. Believe it or not, your teeth health is the most important and first real sign of the health of your body. If your teeth are in shitty shape, your body's in shitty shape, I guarantee it. If your teeth are in good shape, your body's probably in decent shape. Your teeth literally, especially when it comes to heart health, are direct correlation. Kind of seems weird, but there's a lot of evidence to back it up. So obviously drinking more water is going to be a big key to that. Moisture lozenges, stuff like that. I mean, when you're sleeping at night, I don't know what you're going to do. You can't just wake up every 14 minutes and drink water. But yeah, Ozempic is causing some problems. Maha making some good choices for us here. They've managed to get some of the crazy colors and synthetic dyes removed from ice cream, which I kind of thought was weird. Remember how Biden was always eating ice cream and Nancy Pelosi would show her refrigerator and they had that special brand of ice cream, which I'm sure doesn't have synthetic dyes. But just something strange about ice cream and the pedophile people that are out there. Well, or whatever. It seems to be a connection. Kennedy Center's Les Mis sold out, exceeded revenue goals under Trump and Grinnell rather than the crap stuff that they were sharing. Now they're actually making some money at the Kennedy Center, which is pretty freaking cool. Meta is planning to build several city-sized data centers. They're actually saying about the size of Manhattan. They're going to begin creating them, one of them certainly right now. They said it'll take about a year or so, and that should be up and running. I don't know if they tell us where this one's at. Intent on his modeling superintelligence. They're doing it for that reason, of course. The size of Manhattan. I do not see that they tell us where it's at. That'll probably come in time. Maybe they're still trying to figure out what city is the best place. China's got a new maglev train that debuted. It's about 373 miles per hour or 600 kilometers per hour. Really damn fast. Yeah, just super cool. I was watching some weird video last night, I think it was, and they were talking about a super train that was somehow through a tunnel was creating sonic booms. And I don't know if it was literally going the speed of sound or if it was just because of the way the tunnel was designed that it was able to create some sort of strange compression that created a similar experience. Don't know. They ended up taking, I want to say it was the African Swift or whatever it is, the fastest bird, and they modeled the nose of the train after the nose of the bird, and it made it kind of a little bit funky looking. It looks kind of like the nose of a bird, and they no longer had the booms, if you will, happening. So it's kind of interesting how these things play out. But yeah, this thing's maglev. Not traveling anywhere near Mach. Speed of sound at sea level is a lot closer to 770 miles an hour, something like that. So kind of twice the speed, essentially. But yeah, still kind of crazy what's going on in the world. And finally, just want to remind you guys, I do have two sources, of course, of merch. Right now, I believe the lady that's doing the Truth Thread merch is kind of she's away from her equipment, so I think having a harder time filling orders at the moment. But certainly the bonfire is still going. The Dan I'd Rather shirts are still up and at 'em. If you guys are interested in doing that, go to bonfire.com/Dan-I'd-Rather160. Bonfire.com/Dan-I'd-Rather160. There is a link below, and actually a link for the truththread.us, I think it is. That one's also in there, but truththread.shop. Again, now's probably not the best time to try to order that. I'll let you guys know. I think that's coming soon. There's some stuff going on in the individual's life, so we're going to kind of work through that before we start pumping some of those shirts out. So take advantage of the Dan I'd Rather. They got some really, really good ones, and we can tell how many have been sold down here. I like that. I can actually see. 39 is not very many. Obviously, there's not a lot of money in merch, and I don't own any of these, and I don't make a dime off any of these. This is just people that are kind enough to do it for me, and it gets merch out so you guys have stuff that you can wear. The hat was the big deal for me. I lost that. That was that first bit of merch I used to have way back when, and those days are past as well. So it is what it is, but I love you guys. We're going to keep moving forward. We're going to keep fighting the fight, and we're going to keep trying to get through this Epstein stuff. I think it's all going to come to the surface at some point. Who we get to find out, who is public, who's not. It's kind of up in the air. And again, governments kind of have to keep functioning. We would have a much larger problem if they stopped. As much as we don't care or don't want to care, we kind of need to a little bit, I think. So again, we'll see where you guys stand with all this stuff. I thought Simon Park made some very, very good points, and certainly does come from that sort of background. He was actually in Parliament for a period of time, so he knows what he's talking about. That's for sure. All said, guys, the world's changing big time. Let's be on the right side of this change, and it'll all work out just fine. No matter what, we're doing this together. Where we go one, we go all. It's On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.